In this video, we will be looking at the different location content types within OpenWhy. We'll go through how to actually add a new location to the site itself, and also just explain a little bit more around the functionality, as this forms quite a big part of any OpenWhy site. So just to start off with, I'm starting in the main locations page of this demo version of OpenWhy. And this is a very common page that you'll see in most OpenWhy sites, where you'll have a map which represents all the locations that have been added for this particular association. You'll have different types of locations. So in this case, we have YMCA, which is representing the branches, some camps, and also facilities. You'll see as I toggle these filters, it's going to change what's displayed on the map depending on what's been added. And then on the actual locations page, what you'll see is a summary of those branches. Depending on what filters you've selected, it would change. But I've selected everything here, so you can see all the locations for the different categories here, with some of the key information highlighted already in these cards, which is just trying to make the kind of key information that most users would probably want to find out about a branch or a location really quick and easy to get. You'll see here then there's an option to go through to the branch info. So this is actually then the branch page that's going to have some more information maybe about the location. So this is where we've got kind of this header gallery image here. We've got some key information about the branch, the hours, etc., address, contact details, but also it forms its own page as well. So we can add more content about the branch here, maybe promoting programs or more key information that we want to get across to users. Now, one caveat here is that your actual design and view of your location pages and your main location page will probably look very different to how we view this on the out-of-the-box version of OpenWhy. But the elements are very kind of common and the same, and how we create these locations is going to be the same regardless. So that's the important thing. So what we're going to do next is we're going to add a new branch location. So to do that, what we want to do is go to our content menu and our administration menu. And I'm actually just going to open this up in a different menu because we're about to add quite a bit of content about something. And my memory's not that great, so I'm going to actually copy some of the details from an existing location like we've got opened here. So once you've opened the content menu, we want to add content here. Now for today, we're going to be adding a branch, which is the same as the YMCA filter we just saw on the locations page. But just a very quick side note here, each location type that you saw put into those filters, and that could be different for different associations. You might have a childcare category, for example. You want to add all your childcare locations. But the important thing to note is that they all will form their own content types. So in the case of this demo site, we have branch, we have camp, and we have facility. Now, they may have slight changes or differences, like camp might not have hours, for example, depending on your configuration of OpenWhy, but how you add them is pretty much the same. So we're going to add a branch today, but this should still give you enough information to be able to go in and add any other location type as well, or at least get near enough through to at least get it added to your site with the key information. So I'm going to click through to the branch content type here, and this is our main editing screen for our branch. And as you can see here, there's actually quite a lot more to this than some of the other content types. And the reason for that is just because there's a lot of information about a branch. So as I mentioned just a second ago, I'm actually going to just edit one of the existing branches here, and I'm just going to copy through some of the main information and go through step by step. So the first thing I need to do is give the new branch a title. I mean, maybe I could be a little bit more creative there. Now, not all of this is required, so there's going to be a lot of fields here I'm going to go past just because they're not critical to setting up a new branch and having it appear in your locations page and having a new page for that branch. but there may be bits here that are more relevant for others. So for example, the neighborhood option here allows you to group them by neighborhoods, but it's not necessarily always used. Coming soon, again, a feature that's there, but unless it's really configured and used for your site, it's not necessarily going to be that useful, but it would mark the branch as a coming soon location. And then finally on this section, the temporary URL. Again, this is an option that isn't necessarily used all the time, but would allow you to add a temporary URL for this branch. But most of the time, you'd leave that blank. Once we get onto the next section, this is where we are going to need to enter some information. You can see it's required. It's going to need an address. So I'm just going to be really lazy here and copy over some of the address information from another location. And the reason I'm doing this as well is that there is some basic validation here. So if I don't enter some of the things that it's expecting me to enter for the location against kind of stuff like the state and the zip that I'm putting in, it's going to flag that to me. So I don't want that to happen. So that's the address entered. Now, this is quite important. We need to give the location a latitude and longitude. And the reason for that is because twofold. The first one is that we need to place it on the map. We need to give it a pin on that map that we saw, and that's going to help provide the site or your open site with that information. And also there's different areas where you'll see direction links for locations. And without the latitude or longitude, it can't work out directions via the Google Maps platform. So I'm going to copy again the coordinates from an existing location. Very boring, I know. But in this case, you can use lots of different free tools and providers out there. Personally, I just use Google Maps. I just take the longitude and latitude from the address on Google Maps. It works quite well. Well, you can see here we can put in a few different contact details, phone, email, fax. So I'm just going to enter that information. And this information, as well as the locations page, like you saw that little preview card for each location, we're going to see some of this key information. It kind of links through to lots of different parts of OpenWise. So this is really about you being able to enter all the important information in one area and then it being useful for lots of different areas. So one example that's covered in another video is the events functionality, where when I reference a particular branch, it's going to display on that event some of the key information like the address and contact details for the branch that I've selected. Again, we don't need to fill out this field directions because we've already provided a longitude and latitude value. This is going to work out of the box for us. We can, if we decided to give ourselves a custom URL for a directions link if you were having trouble for whatever reason using the out of the box standard functionality, but I'm just going to skip past that for now. So the branch hours, obviously quite important for branches, might not be so important for some other location types, but it's just as straightforward as entering in your hours, and it doesn't have to be in any format. These are just text fields. The only thing that I would say that is important is that where they are the same, just make sure that they're exactly the same, because what the OpenWise will do for you is where hours are the same between ranges of dates or days, it's going to just summarize that as Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, rather than listing every single option. But if there is any difference between them, it won't know that they're the same and therefore will split it up a little bit weird. So there's our hours. We've added them in. That's great. And then we've basically coming to the next three sections, which is really the main content for the page here. So just in interest of the video length, I'm not going to add any content to this branch page, but you could be adding a banner here. You can add lots of different components and blocks to branch pages and anything that you basically have existing on your site, you'd be able to add to these sections and to obviously promote and demonstrate different things about those branches. You can even have menu structures within the branch pages themselves, which allow you to kind of have almost your little kind of microsites about for branches where users and members can find out key information about branches. But again, just in the interest of time today, I'm just going to leave the actual content of the page all blank. We're going to skip straight onto the branch amenities. So the branch amenities links to a couple of different areas depending on how your site is configured. But essentially, you're wanting to list here all of the different facilities and amenities a branch might do. So I've got the example of swim lessons here, and this is using a taxonomy vocabulary, which is covered in different videos. But there is this handy shortcut link just below here where if I just open this up in a new window, what it's going to do is it's actually going to take me straight through to the amenities vocabulary. So I can see what's set up, and I can also add new ones as well. But yeah, let's just do a couple here. I'm just going to do reference the community garden, and maybe there's a community health facility. But yeah, this is very individual to your association, obviously. So this is just really demo content at this point. So yeah, as I mentioned, the amenities here, they link through to different locations, and it depends on your configuration of OpenWhy, honestly. But the common ones would be on the locations page, which we'll have a look at in a second. There was an amenities filter list there. So anything I'm entering here is basically going to be referenced when I filter, say, community garden. This location will come up on my locations page. And also there's a branch amenities block, again, if configured for your site, which is a nice visual block of the amenities available at a branch, which can be placed on your branch page, and again, would be kept up to date and references these amenities here. So I'm just going to save our branch page because we've filled out all of the key information. Now, as you can see, actually our information, our page is not that interesting, and we'll go through why that is just in a second here. But essentially, we didn't add any content to the page, right? But what we will see straight away when we go back to our locations is that we do have now our test branch here with all our information, and we can link through to it. And also, just to mention on the amenities here, now I'm selecting community garden. We know our branch is going to come up because we reference that amenity. So I just want to finish the video here just by making sure that the new branch page here is a little bit more palatable, a little more information that we've had. So if we just look back to our one that we had here already, the main bits that I'd missed was that contact info section needs to be added to the header area here. So I'm just going to super quickly add just those elements. So I'm just going to add a small banner so it looks a little bit more interesting on the page. And this is obviously, these are blocks. Well, this is a block that can be used on multiple pages. The next one is not, because it's going to give us information about the branch. So I'm just going to do that quite quickly. And then the other one that we saw then, so the little blue bar that we saw on the first example, which has all of our information about our branch, is what we're adding next. So that's the branch contacts info block here. So now, if with those blocks added to our header, our branch page is going to start to look at least a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit blue, because I've done just a blue background for the brand small banner as well. But you can hopefully start to see here how then I could continue to build out content for this page. And as you can see, it's already part of the locations. And as I said at the start of the video, that then applies to any of the categories that are configured for your site. Again, this is going to be down to your association. You're probably going to have different labeling, and you're definitely going to probably have different numbers of categories. Some might have 4, some might have 2, some might even only have 1. But the important part here is that process that we use just to add this new branch location here can be applied against any of these categories. The important thing is that you just need to make sure that you're using the right content type. So when we're going to our content type, if we were adding a camp, for example, we would select camp, and then that's going to allow us to build something up that's quite similar. It's got the same contact info, it's got the same title, it's the same kind of structure, but again, there will be some small differences. But in the whole, you should be able to work through using this video a way of adding any location content type. That completes today's overview. I hope that's been useful, and thank you for watching.